It's Thursday, August 12th, and my name is Crystal O'Loughlin. I'm the founder and CEO of Angel Aid Cares, and we are here having a Rare Mothers Roundtable. This is our new format. This is just designed to give us an opportunity to sit down with a featured rare mother each week and hear her story. And we invite other mothers to join us while we're doing that. So our featured rare mother this week is Mary Blomberg. And hi, Mary. It's good to
Good
see you.
morning.
Good
Good morning.
morning. And oh, good. I have some participants in the background here. There's a fireplace, and I'm in the lobby of the Montage Hotel in Laguna Beach, and so we've got a dad there teaching his daughter not to touch the fire, which I think is very appropriate. Um, and so we started this format so that we could all get a chance to hear, sort of firsthand your experiences, Mary. And I see that we have another participant on the line. Phyllis, would you like to introduce yourself? And then I'll ask Mary to do the same.
Hi, Mary. Hi, Crystal. Uh, I have three sons who had Hunter syndrome, and they passed away. Um, they were born in the 60s, and um, they passed away in the 80s. Um, and I'm here in Southern California, and uh, I don't know exactly what you want to know about me, except that Angel Aid kind of saved me in the respect that when I was with my children, there were no resources. MPS had just started, and there there were different therapies, but there just there wasn't anything for me to get any kind of support or help. And all these years later, my daughter Crystal started, and her friends at UCLA started Angel Aid, and she really got it resurrected uh, now, and has been it's been a lifesaver to me, because a lot of the things that I went through without any help, now I get to go through them and share my story as I hear young mothers and mothers like Mary share their story, and we just talk about it. And Angel Aid has workshops that I always go to on Tuesday and Thursday at 10 o'clock that really help me. So
Oh,
I'm very
thank,
grateful.
thank
Yes.
you. Thank you, Phyllis, for explaining all of that. And so, Mary, we were talking before we actually jumped on together about your background and your experience with rare disease. So why don't you share your story with us?
Well, I am Mary Blomberg, and I live in Kennewick, Washington. And in 1980, I was gifted with our first child, our young lady, Karen. And things were great at first. We had no idea where we were going. She started talking at 6 months, walking along furniture at 7 months, and just was gifted. And then all of a sudden, everything stopped. And she started having ear infections at 2 weeks old. And by 11 months, she had tubes in. And she never really got her language back. I had to, I got it back through singing. We just sang everything. And she started responding with that. And it took us, our doctor, we had a wonderful doctor. He started looking for something wrong at 4 months, because there was just something not right. And we started testing and testing and testing. And finally, just before she turned 6, we found out she had this rare disease called aspartoglucosamminuria. That's a mouthful. But and then we found out that there weren't very many people with this disease. In fact, there's around 300 in the world with her disease. And that it was a Finnish heritage disease, and that we would never have known, even if we had talked with a counselor, and that it was 1 in 4 chance every time we were pregnant. And of course, by that time, we were on our 3rd child. So, but we were lucky, because I met somebody whose only 2 children have the disease, but theirs is a different variant. But there was nobody to talk to. Our doctor in Seattle told me a story that was wrong. I'd taken a physiobiology course for my 5th year for education, just for fun, and we discovered we had gone through her, a part of her disease. It's a glycogen storage disease, and had talked about it. So I knew that the doctor wasn't quite right. And so it was a fight with the Seattle doctor to get information. And because once you find the disease, you want to know about it. And when you're kept in the dark, it's just terrible for you. And nobody, and at that time, I didn't know anyone in the United States that had it. So I contacted the Finnish consulate, because it's a Finnish disease, and I wanted to know more about it. And so they got me in touch with a doctor. So I went to my doctor. That we had changed doctors at the time we'd moved, and he talked to the genetics doctor for the state, and genetics said, "Don't let her do it. Don't let her get more information. She doesn't need it." Da 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 da. And I looked at that doctor, my doctor, my pediatrician, and said, "I'm the one that went and got the doctor's name. So you can help me understand it more, or I'll just do it on my own. I don't care, it doesn't matter." And I said, "What would you do if it was your daughter?" And then he said, "Okay, let's get the information." And so when we got it, we found that most people died at that time at the age of 25. And that they were put in institutions mostly, and they became very retarded, and on and on and on. And so I go, well, that's interesting. It didn't help a lot, but I also then was working, I was a special ed teacher, but I was also into science. And at my school, I was into their science program that connected me with researchers out at Battelle. And so I knew the guy that had was on the big computer. And so he kept telling me where they were. He said, "But we haven't found where it is on the in the genetic code yet. So there's nothing going on." But he said in the future, what'll happen is they'll find the genetic code, and then it's probably going to be gene therapy and all of that. Well, that's exactly what happened. But it was kickstarted by another family that lives in Missouri, I think, Louisiana. And so she raised money and hired a research, because at that time, I was told by the researcher when Karen hit puberty that there probably was no hope for her. And we had hit puberty, so I had just kind of lost doing it. And I had gone through, when she hit puberty, I went through depression really bad, and realized it and went in and got help, because all that hope was just taken away. And so I was in a slump for a little bit, and got on medication for a little bit. It only took me a couple months, and then I was accepting and back at it again. But that's why I say, parents, you go through these periods, and it's not weakness when you hit that slump. it's just a change in your life, and you just go on and find something new, and start, instead of having all of this want of a change, you kind of realize what you have and appreciate it, because you have a whole different world that nobody else would go through. And you are gifted with this person that brings such light into your life. And in a way, I think our life has been better because of having this rare person in your life, and meeting everybody that you would never have met, and your whole family is kind of changed by it, because you realize how different things you could be if, but by the grace of God, you know, had that gene. And so that's one of the things that's been an eye opener in our life. So we have, as we've raised her, we find all these things, and the doctors go, I don't know, I don't know, because we went through her disease is kind of like your brain
And
breaking
and
apart.
Mary, tell me, I'm sorry to interject. I just want to make sure that I understand where I am in this journey with you. How old is Karen now?
She is now 40 years old.
She's 40, and
And
you
every
said
time that,
mostly that they're living to 25, right?
at the time she was
At that time.
diagnosed,
Wow.
yes, they discovered her disease in the late 70s, and she was born in 80.
Okay.
So it was relatively new. And a lot of people, when they are put into institutions, like most of them were in Finland,
Yeah.
you don't get the care that you
No.
do at home.
No.
And so, but as things, they usually get all these infections. I mean, she had pneumonia, I don't know how many times, when she was little. And we were told that we wouldn't even have seen it in our genetics through our family history, because all these kids would have died early.
Right.
You know, they would have been
Right.
just a little off. And then the severe stuff doesn't hit till
Yeah.
puberty and later.
And there was a moment when you were sharing your story where you said you knew that you were depressed and you knew that you need help.
I was staying
What
up.
came? Yeah.
I
How did you
I
know?
was
How did you know?
I was staying up watching Nick at night overnight and playing solitaire till 4 in the morning, and that was not me. And so one night I went to bed, and I was getting up at 6:30 to go to work because I was a special ed teacher. And so I was one night, I just go, why am I doing this?
2 hours of
You
sleep, you're just running yourself into the ground. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was just going, why? This is not me. And so I went to the doctor and said, I think I'm depressed, and
Yeah.
told him my story. And he goes, you're right. And put me on, and I went to counseling. Counseling didn't really help me because I'm I I I don't know. I don't know why. I don't think they could really hit on where I needed to go somewhere in myself to find my true, my inner self, what I needed to do, know in myself, and what I could, oh, you know, that this was just a small thing, and to change my outlook, you know, that I was hoping so much for a cure because I wanted my old daughter back, one that was born just gifted, and not, you know, who I perceived I had now. But she's really is a gift, gifted in other ways. I mean,
Yeah.
and when she hit puberty, we also went through a hard spot with her because her brain deteriorated a bit, and she became kind of violent, and she liked hearing her brother and sister who were younger scream and yell, and so she would try to push them downstairs and things. And
Yeah.
we were in the part where, how long is this going to last, because we can't, you know, she's a danger in our house, and we didn't want to part with her, but we, you know, we couldn't have her beating, you know,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
she was 10 years old when she went through puberty, which was really quite early. And so her siblings were like 8 and just a lot younger, 8 and Laura's 4 years older, so 8 and 4. And so they didn't, and she was large because part of her the females tend to be overweight in her disease until that towards the end. And we're at the end now, we can tell, because she's lost 66 pounds, and she sleeps all the time. And
Mm.
this is her time up, and that not she goes to bed at 1, and lots of times doesn't get up till 9:30, and then is back in bed by 11.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
and has a feeding tube and stuff. So our life has changed a lot since she has gotten worse. And they now have a new timeline out, so they discover more and more antibiotics and things around, and you're fast on getting her help.
Mhm.
Like one night she came home from her school program, and she started coughing. By the next morning she was in the hospital for 11 days with pneumonia. So it's just
Yeah.
overnight that
That
things
medical,
happen.
these medical traumas, right? And we hear this quite a bit from Rare Mothers, where you know you've been through an experience, you've been to the ER, and then you're anticipating when that's going to happen again, right? So you're sort of like you're in this elevated state of constant
Constant
worrying about,
yeah, well, monitoring is what I
yeah,
call it. You just monitor to make sure you're fast enough. And then our doctor retired, so we had to change doctors, and they don't they poo-poo a lot of things because kids get over things. But and oh, we'll just and you just have to you always have to be up there saying, no, that's not going to happen. We need this and we need it now. And
so
so they start.
the advocacy piece of this is big, right? So
Yeah,
you
you have to. You can't be shy with your doctor. You have to be forward. And I got so lucky that we had this wonderful pediatrician for a lot of years. We moved away and came back, and boy, did we miss him when we had moved away. It was just when she was little, and the doctors wouldn't listen to me. I had lived over in Olympia for a year, um, when she was about 2 years old, and they just did not listen to me at all. And they didn't get me help. And I because I was teaching in Indian school, so I wasn't aware of what their school district had to offer. And
mm,
I knew that over in Kennewick, it was uh, it was different. And it wasn't mandated by state at that time that you have this birth to 3 program. And so not all districts did, and no doctor or anybody told me that there was one. And I was busy. I had just had another baby, and I was, busy. I was teaching, and I was busy, and we were paying for everything. We were getting her speech therapy and everything on our own. So it kind of taught me a little lesson. But
mm,
I will say, having her has been the best help in my career as a special ed teacher, because I walk the life of the parents of my children. I walk that same life. And I wasn't one to say, oh, just do more homework at home. Mine was go out and do things with your child and experience life. Don't just dwell on what they can't do. Go do what they can do. And so that was always my philosophy. And the other philosophy I've had is, I have these younger children, but don't make them responsible for their sibling. Hire a babysitter or whatever. If you're going to go out, don't unless you ask them and they say, yeah, we'll watch her for this. Go for a walk, we'll watch her, there's no problem. Don't just assume that, because your other kids have a life too, and you want them to appreciate their sister and not feel that she's a chore. So
absolutely. And what would you say that this experience with Karen has cultivated in your other two children you had?
My son, when he went to college, he was competing for scholarships, and he was asked if he ever volunteered, and you know what his volunteer experience was, and he said, I don't do very much volunteer work. I just don't, I and when he came home and he told me that, he said, I don't think I got the full experience because I don't volunteer much. And I looked at him and I go, what? You don't volunteer? I said, you have worked Special Olympics since you were 5 years old. You have come with me, and when I was teaching swimming for migrant kids, he was my example. He was volunteering all the time. He was volunteering with all kinds of things that we did. I mean, and he said, that's not volunteering, Mom. That's just what our family does. And I go, okay. I said, I love the way you look at that. But when you're going for a scholarship, let me tell you,
Let me tell you what to
emphasize
say.
these things.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
so he ended up getting a very good scholarship but he was he didn't get the complete deal. He got full tuition, which was good, and then swimming brought him the other part. But I just looked at him like, come
Yeah,
on, Adam, this is volunteer. This is what it is. No, maybe you didn't go out and wash cars and do that, but you were at the neighbors, pruning their trees for the elderly that didn't have the ability to do things. You were doing this, you were doing that. That is volunteering. So that's what it's kind of done with our family. We don't know what volunteering is because we do it. We I was the coach for Special Olympics swimming in our area, so we did great. I didn't Our kids weren't limited in what they could do, and Karen wasn't limited. She swam for high school swimming. When we lived in Sela, the swim team invited her to swim with them. And the first year that kids were on the Sela swim team, I didn't have Karen participate. And the girls came up afterwards and said, well, can't Karen swim? And I said, well, yeah. And so the next year she was on the team. And then when she got into high school, they got her and took her to the swim team practices and helped her at swim meets, and until she really needed more help than they could give.
that
And it just over and over. I mean, so she has always been part of the community. And I don't think we have ever heard anybody, complain or tell us, she's different and weird. I mean, she wears her princess hat and, and smiles and puts her, and talks about Disney all the time, and her best friend was Peter Pan and her boyfriend.
So,
And
Mary, you have these three amazing children. You've had difficult circumstances that you have flipped around and found the blessing and the positivity in. What do you do
for me,
for you?
I am a hobbyist now. I mean, at first, I loved teaching, and when I was pulled from teaching because I came down with rheumatoid arthritis, and then I was diagnosed with MS, and that ended my teaching career. My doctor just pulled me. He said, I got sick, and then I even tried to stay into teaching by helping a teacher, and then I got sepsis, and I said, okay, I can't do that. So now I sew, I quilt, I make clothes, I I I I volunteer in in things like I'm in a group called Catholic Daughters of America, which we do a lot of things, and I organize a lot of that kind of stuff. So I get to keep my organizing skills out there in things. I just am behind the scenes more. Um, I said I because I love going out and helping and volunteering. I mean, so I will sew things for people. I made around 400 masks for people. I gave them to hospice. I've made memory bears for people, things like that. So I'm working on some major projects. And now I have quilts going and things. So I do things for myself, and I have to go and work out and things, swim and work out to keep my RA and MS kind of at bay. And so I mean, I'm out there doing things for myself, and I listen to books on tape all the time. I can't read very much anymore because my eyes have deteriorated with the MS. But I'm out there doing all the time.
You have a very full existence. Well, in a few moments, I'm going to ask you, if you knew then what you know now, what would you tell a newly diagnosed family or mother? But while you're thinking about that answer, I wanted to ask Phyllis, do you have any questions as we prepare Mary's final thoughts here?
Uh, I'm sorry, I was distracted.
No worries. No,
Yeah.
you're fine. You're fine. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I just wanted to give you a chance to ask Mary any questions if you have any thoughts there. And just enjoying listening. Yeah.
Your story is incredible. I mean, have you written it?
That's what one of my neighbors asked me to do. She said, "I'll help you write a book." And no, I haven't written it.
Do
I
you journal at
I
all?
no, I start and then I stop. I'm not. I'm not. That's not where I like to take my time.
You're living it. You're living it, writing about it. Yeah.
I mean, maybe when life comes to an end, maybe to look back and look at all the wonderful things we've done. I mean, I think when parents when you come out and look at what your life has been, and you ask yourself, would you do it again, or would you make any changes? And I look at it and I go, nah, I'd do it again. I don't think I'd change. She's so wonderful that she's led us through a life that we had no idea we were going to go through, and it has really been wonderful. All the ups and downs. It's been an adventure, and who's up for an adventure? We were up for an adventure. I mean,
Yes.
if you look at it, I mean, it has all.
I believe that our children chose us. I believe in the hereafter, and I believe that they chose us for a reason.
And what do we do with that choice? You know?
Yes, we do the best that we can at the time, and we try to make the right decisions and choices. And so you've talked about your son and your daughter, and your third child is
my third child. She's another gift. She's bipolar, and so she drives us crazy, but she's wonderful too. And she works now close to us, so we see her a lot, and we go through her ups and downs and trials. And those can be just as fun, but they're different. And so and she's had an interesting life because she's had this gifted brother and this rare sister, and so she's had a problem knowing where to fit in. And so guiding her with her bipolarness as to where to fit in has been interesting, because I always have to tell her, no, you're not your sister, no, you're not your brother, and realize where she's coming from, and help her find her.
Well, all three of your children chose the right mother. You are a rare mother.
So I just tell everyone, when you look at when you look at the whole, we're average.
That's so true. You know, people think that when they find out you have a child that's ill, they say, well, I don't know how you do it. I couldn't do that. And actually, I look at them and just think, you are doing it. Everyone
So yeah,
is moving through their challenges just like we do.
and I wouldn't change mine with anybody. So, but that's when people are diagnosed, when you get this rare child and you go, what am I going to do? You're going to know what to do, and you can find people. There's people all around to help you guide your way. But you were chosen for a reason, and you're meant to be, and you're meant to have this glorious life. And don't let anyone tell you that this child shouldn't be here, because this child is what makes our humanity. It makes our world, and it changes your life and your family for the better.
I'm so glad I came today and got to hear your story in
And
person.
so,
Thank you
well,
very
thank you.
Thank you so much, Mary. I agree. I second that notion. My great privilege is to hear these stories and get inspired by the human spirit. I loved what you said. This child is what makes our humanity. That is that is the truth. So, any other closing thoughts as we wrap up this interview? Anything
I
you want our
well,
rare mother community to know?
well, what we have on our refrigerator is saying is it's just life is good, and so life is good. Enjoy what you have, and look for the positive, because there are so many positives in this life that you have.
Isn't that isn't that it? And what have you done? You've held space for both realities, right? I have to thank you for talking early in the interview about the grieving process and what you went through when you were grieving the child that you thought you
We had,
had, you know,
and the possibility that
and the
there was
possibilities.
going to be something different. We were going to go back to that child.
Right.
And some people are in this disease are going to go back to their child, because right now they're just coming out with a gene therapy, and they moved it from Texas to Finland, because that's where more of the people were. And there's a place called rarehopetrait.com, where they're trying to raise the money for the people in the US and Canada and other places to go to Finland to get the cure.
Ah,
So there's and it's coming, but our daughter has passed the point where she can get the cure.
the
So we had to
cure.
put her on a feeding tube, and her brain she's like a year and a half year old, and she's just, we're coming to the end, and that'll be another part.
That will be another
We'll
part of
see.
this journey, won't it? Yes.
Yeah,
My heart goes
yeah.
out to you and your family, Mary. Yep, I see it. We're sending you our virtual hugs and love. And
Yes, and thank
I'm
you.
so grateful to you for being so brave and so forthcoming and so verbal about your experience. That is, I say, connection is the act of compassion, and it's just connecting all of our women, right? Our mothers, our
Yes,
rare mothers, and our
yeah.
collective experience. And even if we have different diseases that run in our families and at different stages of our journeys, we are here for each other. You're not alone in this experience. And
And so that, yeah, and you're helping me go through one of my goals, because my goal is to share and help parents that are struggling with these things, because the people that have the older kids, that have gone through it, they have such a wealth of information, and gratitude to everyone else that has helped them along the way, that it's for us to pass it, information and help and hope to others, and
absolutely.
just to know that you're just not alone in this, and that it is a gift, and don't wallow in sadness, but enjoy life as a family, as don't closet your child away from others because people don't, you're afraid that people are going to say mean things, etc. Because I mean, even if somebody said something mean to Karen, she would just turn it around and make it something happy.
Right. Right. What a gift.
Because that's how she's raised. And yes, we have to have routines and things within our lives to cope with going places and doing things. But just think how much better we are at things than other people are at creating these routines. And you get in these ruts, and if something changes, you're just, what do I do now? And here we are. Oh, I know what to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we're never in a rut.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
It changes ever so much. But yeah.
You've been honed, you've been polished by your experiences, I can
Yes.
tell too,
Well, yeah. And we always create everything. We look at everything as an adventure. If something comes along, we go to the beach and all the windows get blown out with a storm. Oh, it's just another adventure. Wasn't that interesting? My sister-in-law was like, oh my God, we're leaving, and we stay. And enjoy it. I think that we're nuts, but hey.
I love it. I love it. That's so great, Mary. Well, keep coming. Please keep coming to our discussions. Join the next roundtable when we'll see who we're going to be interviewing next week. And
I'm going to try to do that.
Sure.
I just always forget because I get involved with something, and
we've been talking about that.
I told them that I need a checklist to put on my refrigerator so I know what time and what day and what's happening. For example, if you want a self-care meditation, Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock, and it's just wonderful. If you remember.
Yeah, Padma Gordon. We have this amazing network of health and wellness practitioners, and Padma Gordon has been working with our Rare Mother community for over a year now. She's just amazing. So right now she's exploring Rare Mothers in relationship. So relationship with themselves, with their partners, with their families, with other communities like church and school and the Catholic Daughters of America.
Karen is a member, and she used to help all the time with what we were doing.
Yeah.
We have
on Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
That's the group to come and share with. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I see this at 10 o'clock. Karen, you have to remember, is only up from 8 in the morning or 8 or 9 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon. So a lot of times that's when I'm
your
on
special
for care.
time. Yeah, that's your special time. Okay, well that's good to know.
So that
we're not going anywhere. We're here.
So that's a lot of times where I am. I have to make special appointments to be. I could, because lots of times she gets her feeding, her water. We have to be careful because she can't tolerate her food all at once and stuff, so we have to spread it out.
Right.
And we dumped her feeding, her electronic one that feeds her, because we were tired of being tied to that all day and we couldn't take her anywhere.
Yeah.
And so we've developed a schedule where we can slowly give it to her faster.
Wonderful.
So
you're adapting for the new realities.
I think these things are recorded, but they're private in Angel Age, so you can watch it at your convenience. And I think you would enjoy it. Yeah.
Okay, that would be good.
Yeah. So okay, Mary. Well, it was just what a day. I'm inspired by you. I'm grateful for you. It's really nice to meet you and get to know you. I'm glad that you were able to meet Phyllis as well. So
I am grateful for all these parents that choose life, and choose to do this and to do their best. I mean, these kids, they are where we are. I mean, they show us they have no guile in them. They're just pure hearts,
Mm.
and the world needs to see them.
Mm.
They need to see their pure. I mean, they're just so, they're God's people, and they need to be shared with the world to
Well, and
remember where we are.
I would say that about you, Mary. I would say let's include the mothers in this and the
Well, the
fathers.
mothers have,
Okay,
the parents have to be there too,
the
because they're the
parents are
ones
right
that are,
there.
because they're the ones enabling these kids.
You got it.
But
You
we
got
need to
it.
be sharing them with the world,
Agreed.
because the world needs them.
Yeah.
The world needs them. They never say Karen never says a bad word about anybody.
Mm.
Well, if you smoke on or say bad words, she will tell you that that's not nice.
Mm.
She will correct you, but they don't make judgments about you,
Mm-mm.
you know.
Mm-mm.
So,
Yeah.
and to live our world more like that, that is the goal. I mean, they just teach so much, and to have them out in the world teaches so much.
Mm-hmm.
So Karen's been everywhere. She's been to when I taught, she would come every once in a while as a guest to our class,
Mm.
and we take her on trips. We went to Hawaii in March with her, and it was hard, but we did it. And so that's why I say to parents, don't limit yourself. If you want to take that vacation with your child, it's doable.
Mm.
I mean, we took her for 2 weeks to Hawaii. We learned a lesson on this time, that we need to hire help when we're there, and you can just go to an agency and do that, and get approved, so you can go out to the beach and stuff, because she wouldn't let us go to the beach. And she wouldn't let us go to the swimming pool. She let us go shopping. We spent a lot. But she was, and the crew on the airline, when she had to go to the bathroom, she needs help, and they stood at the front of the plane to give us privacy, to leave the door open, to help her in the restroom. And so it brings out even humanity in others.
The best in others. Yeah, that's true.
And they were the ones that offered that help to us, and we didn't even ask. They said, well, when she needs to go, we'll just tell us, and we'll treat it like if one of the pilots goes, where they stand in front and guard it, so nobody can come up. So, yeah.
Again, you need to be writing your stories down, as Phyllis was talking about earlier. So these are things that people can never even imagine, right? That you need to not take for granted as you go through life, right? Yeah.
But I think when you give people the opportunity to step up, they will. But you do have to be kind and pleasant, and not demanding too.
Of course.
And then they will do the same thing.
Yeah.
So and I don't know. We always look for positive. We never. And when I was teaching, it's always look for the positive in the kid.
Yeah.
And don't put that kid on the spot. Just look for the positive.
Just look for the positive. That's a lesson for all of us. I think that's a good place to end this portion of Rare Mothers Roundtable. Mary, is look for the positive, and life lessons with you have been really meaningful today. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. And I'm going to have to go more on Facebook.
And YouTube. Absolutely.
Yes.
We'll share this with you. Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye-bye. And everyone, just take care.
Thank you. Thank you so much.